She wakes up before anyone else in the house. The kitchen is still dark. She fills the kettle, sets it on the stove, and while the water heats, she wipes the counter. Not because it's dirty. It's already clean from last night. She wipes it anyway, slow, quiet, almost like a ritual. Then she folds the cloth, hangs it neatly over the sink, and waits for the kettle to whistle. That's it. That's the whole thing. No scrubbing, no marathon cleaning sessions, no spending your entire weekend chasing dust. Just a simple cloth, a quiet wipe across the counter, and 30 seconds of care so natural it barely feels like cleaning at all. And here's what's strange. Her home never really gets messy. Not in the way most homes do. Not in the way yours might. Not in the way mine used to. I kept wondering, what is she actually doing differently? Think about your own home for a second. Not the way it looks when you've just cleaned it. Think about how it looks on a Tuesday evening, after work, after dinner, after life has happened to it. The shoes near the door, the dishes from breakfast still in the sink. The jacket was draped over the chair because you'll deal with it later. The pile on the counter that was supposed to be temporary, but has somehow been there for 3 weeks. Most of us live like this. We actually care a lot. We spend entire weekends cleaning, organizing, buying storage solutions, watching videos about decluttering, and then 2 weeks later, somehow it all looks the same again. Maybe you've noticed this too. The home never stays the way you want it for very long. And somewhere in the back of your mind is this quiet, exhausting thought, I need to clean again. Here's what I want to suggest though. What if the problem isn't that you're not cleaning enough? What if the problem is that the way most of us live, without even realizing it, constantly creates a mess? And what if a few almost invisible habits could quietly prevent most of that mess before it ever begins? That's not a cleaning tip. That's something much more interesting than that. In Japanese homes, not all of them, and not perfectly, but in many of them, there's a different relationship between daily life and cleanliness. Not because people work harder, not because they scrub more, but because their habits are designed so that mess barely has a chance to appear in the first place. Today, we're going to look at 7 of those habits. And honestly, by the end, I think you'll realize this isn't really about cleaning at all. It's about something quietly deeper than that. Before we get into the list, though, there's something worth understanding first. In Japan, there are a few old ideas that quietly shape the way people live at home. One is called the idea that space isn't empty at all. It has value. It's intentional. Another is Mottainai, a deep sense of respect for your belongings. Not wasting them, not neglecting them, caring for them the way you'd care for something that genuinely matters. And then there's Kirei, which roughly means cleanliness, but not as a chore, more as a natural daily state. A quiet background rhythm. None of these are rules. Nobody enforces them. They're just ideas that got woven into everyday life over a very long time. And once you understand them, the habits start making a lot more sense. The first habit is the one you notice when you step inside. You take off your shoes. It sounds simple, even obvious. But think about what's actually happening. Every time you walk through the world, on pavements, in offices, through car parks, your shoes collect everything. Dust, pollen, bacteria, small traces of whatever the ground holds. And in most homes, all of that comes right inside with you. The genkan, the dedicated entrance area found in most Japanese homes, creates a physical and psychological line. The moment you remove your shoes and step up into the home, something shifts. The atmosphere changes. You're somewhere different now. Somewhere quieter. And practically, it eliminates one of the biggest sources of indoor dirt entirely, before a single piece of grit reaches the kitchen floor. There's something else happening here. Behavioral researchers have found that environmental cues shape our behavior more powerfully than willpower does. That small ritual at the door, shoes off, slippers on, actually signals to your brain that the busy, public part of the day is over. You're home. Treat this space gently. Now this is where things start getting interesting. Once you're inside one of these homes, the first thing you notice is space. Not only the absence of stuff, intentional space, room to breathe, clear surfaces, cabinets that don't overflow. The philosophy of Ma teaches that emptiness isn't something to fill, it's something to protect. Here's the thing about clutter. Most people don't realize it. It's not just visually untidy. Research on cognitive load shows that visual disorder actually consumes mental energy. Your brain is quietly processing every object in your environment, whether you want it to or not. The pile on the counter, the stack by the door, they're asking small questions of your attention all day long. Less stuff means less to clean, less to move, less to manage, and surprisingly, less to think about. The habit isn't about becoming an extreme minimalist. It's much gentler than that. Just once a week, choose one thing your home no longer needs and let it go. Create one surface that stays clear. Give yourself one place where your eyes can rest. But owning less is only part of it. The next habit is about timing. After breakfast, in many Japanese households, the dishes don't wait. The table doesn't wait. Everything resets before the day moves forward. It sounds almost too disciplined when you first hear it, but there's something quietly brilliant about it. Small tasks, when left undone, compound. One dish becomes a pile. One pile becomes a reason to avoid the kitchen. The avoidance becomes the reason the weekend is spent catching up on tasks that could have taken 3 minutes each. There's actually a psychological concept behind this, the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks linger in the mind as a kind of open loop. Your brain keeps returning to them. The dishes in the sink aren't just dishes. They're low-level mental noise, running quietly in the background all day. The habit Japanese homes practice isn't called cleaning, it's called resetting. Finish one chapter before starting the next. Try this. Anything that takes under 60 seconds, do it now. That's it. That one rule, practiced consistently, quietly prevents an enormous amount of clutter before it ever builds. Here's something that sounds almost too small to matter, until you realize what it actually does. Every object in a well-organized Japanese home has a permanent place. The scissors go back to the same drawer. The keys go back to the same tray. The remote goes back to the same spot on the shelf. Not occasionally, not only when it's convenient. Every single time. This isn't about being tidy for tidiness' sake. When objects have permanent homes, returning them isn't a chore. It's just completing the task. You use the scissors, you put them back, done. The reason most homes get cluttered isn't that people don't know where things go. It's that things don't have a place. They have temporary spots, surfaces, chairs, a corner of the table that became the default landing zone for everything. Give every frequently used object one clear home. If something doesn't have a place, that's the problem to solve first. The next habit surprised me more than any other. It's not about organizing, it's about how Japanese homes treat emotionally. There's an old concept, Mottainai, that carries a feeling something like grief over waste, a reluctance to neglect something that still has life in it. And it shows up quietly in everyday moments. A table was wiped carefully after dinner, shoes cleaned and stored properly, a wooden bowl oiled before it dries out. Not because someone might notice, not because it's on a checklist. You do it simply because that object is part of your daily life, and it deserves a little care. What's interesting is that when people feel genuine respect for what they own, they naturally maintain it more consistently. Care becomes automatic, and maintenance prevents the kind of slow decay that eventually turns into an overwhelming repair job, or a replacement. Spend 1 minute a day caring for one object. Your shoes, your kitchen knives, a houseplant, something you actually use. It sounds almost embarrassingly small, but small, consistent acts compound in ways that eventually feel like the home is taking care of itself. And this brings us to perhaps the quietest habit of all. In many Japanese homes, cleaning isn't a separate event. It's woven into the texture of daily life. A cloth wipes the counter before bed. Windows open in the morning for a few minutes of fresh air. A quick sweep happens not because things are dirty, but because the rhythm calls for it. The concept of Osoji, the traditional deep clean at year's end, only works because small daily habits support it all year long. The deep clean isn't rescuing a neglected home. It's a celebration of one that's been quietly cared for. Behavioral researchers call this habit stacking, attaching a small action to an existing routine until it becomes invisible. You make tea every morning. While the kettle boils, you wipe one surface. That's not cleaning. That's a 30-second extension of something you were already doing. One tiny action attached to something you already do every day. That's all. Here's what I think is actually going on in all of this. The homes that stay cleanest aren't cleaned the most. They're lived in differently. Every habit we've talked about today, removing shoes, protecting space, resetting immediately, giving objects a home, caring for belongings, making small maintenance part of the daily rhythm, none of them are really about cleaning. They're about something quieter. They're about treating your home as a place that deserves a little thoughtfulness every day. Not because you have to, because living inside a calm, intentional space actually changes how you feel. Order reduces visual noise. Visual noise consumes mental energy. Mental energy is the thing you use to think, to rest, to be present with the people around you. A peaceful home isn't built in one cleaning session. It's quietly built every single day, in moments so small you barely notice them. So here's what I'd ask you to try. Just one thing from today. Not all of them. Tomorrow morning, before you leave a room, take 10 seconds to restore it. Put one thing back, clear one surface, fold one thing, not because it's dirty, because your future self, the one who comes home tired and wants to walk into somewhere calm, deserves that. Which one of these habits stood out to you the most? The one you're most likely to try? Or honestly, the one that seems hardest? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what lands differently for different people. And if this quiet way of looking at home life felt interesting to you, there's a lot more of it to discover. Subscribe and we'll keep uncovering the kind of everyday wisdom that doesn't shout for attention, but quietly changes everything.